Coming up on Locked On NBA Daily. It seems like Giannis and the Bucks have reached a breaking point. Where could Giannis go next season that would turn his new team into an instant contender? Meanwhile, the 65-game rule may have claimed another victim. Should the NBA consider doing away with the rule before the end of the season? And finally, we take a look at up to 12 teams that could be looking for a new coach this summer. Locked On NBA Daily starts now.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily. I'm Wes Goldberg. That's Moore and Haize. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com today to get started. Got a jam-packed show for you today. We're going to be talking about the latest victim of the 65-game rule and what looks to be an active market for new coaches. But let's start in Milwaukee because we've got more on the Giannis story today. Yesterday, we got ESPN's story on the growing toxic relationship between Giannis and the Bucks, but some of the reporting in that piece is different than what Giannis has told reporters locally in Milwaukee. According to Locked On Bucks, that could be by design.
Giving a different message locally, to me, is calculated. Giannis has always granted access to local versus national. And that was part of the appeal, too. He's relatable. He's one of us. And I don't want to use too strong of words, but it feels manipulative at times to just continue to put out the little breadcrumbs, too, of like couples therapy. We can make this work. I'm not slamming the door on this. And to your point, especially when he gave that line of, yes, I do care how I'm viewed and what the fans think of me. I think that's the reason why we're seeing two different messages locally versus what the national reporting is.
So it's interesting to hear that from Locked On Bucks. Matt, what do you think about Giannis giving a different message locally versus what we've seen and what's being put out there nationally?
It's pretty typical. This is kind of what happens. It happens with teams too. So I think the beat writer core in Utah is as good as they come. I think that crew is phenomenal, and it had Tony Jones with them several years ago when they tore it down too. And the team was telling the locals, like, we're not tearing it down. We're not going to trade anybody. Why would we break up Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert? They were both gone within 3 weeks. Like, this is just how it goes. The point that Justin makes about not wanting to be viewed negatively by the fans is the biggest thing here. Is like, he's trying to figure out how to get out without repercussions. I think he's misjudging the fan base. I think that they would be fine if he was just like, I love this place. I will be back. I will be here. I will always be a Buck, but I've got to move on. I want to win championships. I got to move on. And they would be like, we love you. Cool. No problem. Dragging it out is what causes this damage. Like, this is what causes the damage. The problem is that fans are always going to believe, one, whatever makes them feel the best, and then two, they're going to trust the local guys over the national. This is why there's been so much. Shams doesn't know anything. Shams has no idea what's going on. Look, I have criticisms of Shams Charania I can levy, but to suggest that Shams doesn't know what's going on is patently false. There's the stuff that goes on, and he's in the middle of that river of information. So this is nothing new to me. It's just a matter of, Haize has said this a million times, rip the Band-Aid off, get on with it.
That's really what this just comes down to, just rip the Band-Aid off. Like, I get it. Like, he is trying to control it. And I still think in this, like, Giannis is still conflicted about leaving. I think he has made his mind up that he wants to go, and that's perfectly fine, but that doesn't mean he's still not conflicted as a person about it. It doesn't mean he still doesn't feel the impact of it. Like, this is a man that, say what you will, he does love the city of Milwaukee. He understands he became a man in that city. He talked about his kids being from there, right? Like, so I do think there is some confliction there, but like, we just got to get on with this. At this point now, this is dragged on way longer than what it needs to for both Giannis and for the franchise. And at this point, like, I get it. Locally, it's going to always be a huge story. And once he is moved, it's always going to be a big national story. But like, let's just get on with this. I'm just tired of talking about it at this point.
Also, local reporting can sometimes poison the well with trade partners. Like, I don't know. Let's say theoretically that you wanted to get a star point guard, and your local media completely acted ridiculous. Like you didn't have to trade bit players who were never going to wind up with anything for like, I don't know, like a Damian Lillard type. You can actually wind up poisoning the well and forcing the GM to actually go elsewhere and wind up ruining your franchise. So just like, that can actually work against you.
You mean the Dame Lillard trade, like the trade that you said that was a good move yesterday?
It was good. For the Bucks, it was a great move.
It's an interesting hypothetical that you bring up, Matt. I'll be interested to see if something like that ever happens. But Haize, you mentioned just rip the bandage off, right? Let's just get on with it. All right, let's do it. Let's get on with it. I wanted to ask you guys about some different fits for Giannis this summer. Just let's assume for a second that Giannis is going to get traded, that he is traded. We're going to go through some of the hypothetical scenarios here. But I asked you guys to come up with 3 different kinds of fits for Giannis this summer. A team that would instantly transform into a contender by adding Giannis in a trade. The most chaotic fit for Giannis, and then a dark horse candidate to trade for Giannis. Let's start, though, with that turnkey contender. Haize, who did you come up with? Who do you think it would be a turnkey contender? Add Giannis onto that roster, understanding that they'd have to give up something for him, but that team now becomes a contender.
I went back and forth between the Golden State Warriors, who I love the fit of Steph there and Dre being there, and if they're able to keep Jimmy, like if they're just able to somehow keep all that together, which I doubt. But I'm actually going to go with your Miami Heat. And the reason why I'm going to say that isn't necessarily just because of the roster. It's also because if Pat Riley gets that star, he's going to make every move possible to make sure that team's a contender at that point in time. So I'll say the Miami Heat there.
Make it tickets tomorrow, man. You don't have to pander today.
Not.
Instant contender is the New York Knicks. They have the 3-point shooting just around him. They have the core element. They have Giannis and a point guard doesn't really mix. It's one of the things that we found with Lillard, but I don't think that Brunson needs it. And you can still run the 1-5 pick and roll with Mitchell and Brunson and then have Giannis. And that means Giannis doesn't have to have the ball every single time. That means you can stagger effectively the lineups defensively with OG, and Giannis would be incredible if they don't move OG in that deal. I think that the Knicks are the easiest plug and play instant. This is a serious title team. They jumped to the top of the Eastern Conference, even above Boston, I think, considerably with Giannis.
I think both are right. I think you drop Giannis onto the Knicks. The Knicks just don't have the draft picks, but we don't. That's not part of the conversation. I understand that wasn't necessarily part of the exercise here, but like you drop them onto the Knicks. If Giannis is like New York or bust, that makes them an instant. And I agree with Haize. Like I do think that the Heat with Giannis, a lot of the things that they have start to fall into place a little bit.
Can they do that though in the new CBA? They can't do what they did. Like you can't do the 2010 thing now.
You're talking about like trading basically Hassan Whiteside and Josh Richardson for Jimmy Butler,
or just like the 2010 thing.
2010. I'm sorry. Yeah. We're
gonna clear all the cap space and just sign it like there's no free agents.
No,
like,
it would basically be Giannis plus Bam plus like whatever pieces are left. Do you keep one of Hero or Norman Powell?
That's not a contender. Like that's not a contender.
But to Haize's point, like they weren't a contender when they traded for Jimmy Butler, and then they made the moves after that to put the role players around them to go to 2 NBA finals.
I mean, they brought up undrafted free agents like Gabe Vincent.
Yeah, and it worked.
Okay.
They got to the finals. Most chaotic, Matt.
This is tough. My dark horse and my most chaotic are kind of similar, but I will go ahead and say this. The most chaotic is the Boston Celtics. Jaylen Brown comes and says, like, look.
I've loved Milwaukee all along.
Look. I've loved my time in Boston, but I am ready to pursue, like, I liked having my own team. I think I'm capable of more. And I love Jason. This isn't personal. I just want that kind of opportunity. And the Celtics go, okay, well, so, hey, Bucks, what do you feel about Jaylen Brown? And the Bucks go, cool, no problem. That sounds good. That sounds great. Because Celtics have their picks too. And they don't have to give up with Jaylen Brown. You don't have to give up so much that it compromises your future. It's Tatum coming off of an Achilles and Giannis at 31. But if you were forced into that type of situation, it does make a lot of sense. If there's one team that I have trust, I have faith will have enough shooting around Giannis, it's the Boston Celtics. It's an ISO-heavy offense anyway. Derek White, Giannis, and Tatum. That's enough to get you to a championship. That's my chaotic option.
Haize?
So I went back and forth. My dark horse and my chaotic option almost were one and the same. So I had to come up with I had to separate those. I'll say chaotic though. I'm going to say the Houston Rockets. I don't think that will work out at all, especially if you try to do KD, and keep him and have him and Giannis on the same team if they did want to give up their young pieces. I think that will instantly put so much pressure on them to win now. And I still don't know if they have the right pieces around there, enough shooting or anything to do that. If the Houston Rockets were to trade for Giannis, I think that it already would take a season that's been disappointing despite them winning 50 games. I think it would, by midway through next season, I think it would completely implode.
I went Indiana because just they hate each other, which is a lot of fun, and it would sort of be like the reverse Miles Turner, but like checkmated on it. And then Giannis as like a receiving threat for Tyrese Halliburton is really interesting. Like putting him in that offense, that up-tempo offense to me is really interesting, and it would just be, they're in division, the rivalry, all that kind of stuff. Last one here, dark horse candidate. Matt, you mentioned Boston Celtics. Is that it?
Oh no, it's the Lakers.
Okay.
It's a 3-way deal with LeBron going somewhere, and then the pieces going to Milwaukee, and then Giannis goes to the Lakers. You get Luka and Giannis, and there's nothing more NBA history than the Lakers getting Luka Dončić and Giannis Antetokounmpo. So that would be my
and
combo.
You keep DeAndre Ayton. Poof.
Woo, boy.
Man, in 24 months, that'd be crazy. My dark horse is actually. I almost picked the Lakers in that case, but just for the nature of it, I'll do a different one. I'll say the New York Knicks, because we know that they're always going to go star hunting. They're always, if a star is available, the Knicks are going to call, and the Knicks are probably going to be willing to put offer as far as when the most proven talent right now, especially if they include Towns, it would make sense for them there. But I'll put the Knicks there as my dark horse.
I know we're long on the segment, but I have to ask this. There's two teams. He wants the market, so it's not going to happen, right? It's always like, I just want to win. And then there's parentheses somewhere that is a large market with nice weather. Hawks and Hornets. I was out on the Hawks, but given this run now, okay, that's a little interesting. I still worry about their shooting, but it's interesting. They're going to have the picks, obviously. And then, like, what if Charlotte made the deal? Like, what if Charlotte came in and was like, screw it? Miles Bridges, 3 picks, Ryan Kalkbrenner,
Right.
Moussa Diabate.
That was almost my chaotic pick because, LaMelo passing the Giannis, it's all very interesting. My dark horse pick was Portland.
Ugh.
The new owner syndrome.
Ugh.
And did you hear some of the quotes coming out of that guy at his like little media gathering with reporters locally? You never want to discount the new owner being like, I know better than everybody. Trade all of it for the superstar. I'm getting some Matt Ishbia vibes from this guy.
Gross.
They
Yeah,
have
it's like
some
Matt
of the
Ishbia
Milwaukee
only-
picks from the Lillard trade.
From what I hear, it's
Drew
Matt
Holiday's
Ishbia
there?
only if instead of wanting to spend the premium to make the fan experience the best, he just wants to cut salary for everybody else around the team.
And for the city to pay for a new stadium.
Yep.
The 65-game rule may have claimed another victim. We'll talk about that and whether or not the league should step in now to fix things in time before end-of-season awards. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are nearly here, where every possession matters, every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing a series. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. Here's what I like about it. You could bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. The app makes it easy to follow the action with player stats, trends, and matchups all in one place. And during the playoffs, that extra insight really matters when you're looking at stars, role players, and key moments. It just makes the entire playoff experience more engaging from start to finish. Besides the playoffs, we've got end-of-season awards coming up. You could still get positive Defensive Player of the Year odds on Chet Holmgren and others, because right now, Victor Wembanyama still the overwhelming favorite, despite the fact that he may not qualify. If you want to bet on him not qualifying, maybe you take a look at those DPOY odds now. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. Today's episode is brought to you by TurboTax. It's tax time, and for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth, and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve, while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person, and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. Welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily. The best way to support the show is to subscribe on YouTube. We are Monday to Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, wherever you get your podcasts. Guys, the 65-game rule may have claimed another victim. Now, Victor Wembanyama listed as day-to-day with a rib contusion. Wemby needs to play at least 20 minutes in one of San Antonio's remaining 3 games to remain eligible for postseason awards. He's already listed as doubtful for tonight's game versus Portland. So now Wemby on the bubble. Anthony Edwards, Cade Cunningham, those guys are already eliminated. Potentially also Luka Dončić as well. Haize, does the NBA need to change the 65-game rule now, not after this season? In other words, can they even afford to wait based on the names here that may not even be eligible for these awards at the end of the season?
No, what did you think was going to happen when you made the rule? Like, why make the rule if the first time that major names miss out on it, you're scrambling to make a change? Like, either you want the standard to be the 65-game rule or not. Like, I get why the conversation's there on should they change it, and I completely understand that from a fan perspective, from a qualification standpoint, and all that type of stuff. But why did you make the rule? If the first time you face some adversity and these names miss out, you automatically then stop making dumb rules. Stop. Adam Silver cannot make any more new rules the rest of his tenure here if that's what he's going to do. Because what was the point of it? Why put us through this?
I struggle with this one. I know why Wes wanted to talk about it. I struggle with it because it's like, should they? It doesn't really matter. It's CBA. It's negotiated in the CBA. You can't open CBA negotiations on April 8th, 3 years into the deal. You can't do that. That's not how this works. Like, this takes Board of Governors and CBA and NBPA approval. Could they issue an emergency mandate for an amendment? I guess technically. But once you start doing that, the problem is, like, if the league is like, hey, we want to remove this rule, then the players have the right to come back and be like, hey, we'd like the second apron abolished. Like, it opens up too many can of worms there. So, like, I can't get past the this is not going to happen thing. I agree with Haize that it's just like, look, you can't just bail on this. I don't know what to do about the fact that it seems like I was an advocate for eliminating player injury management. Like, I was in favor of getting rid of the resting, in part because, like, a lot of this is one of the things I've kind of realized is, it was just Kawhi Leonard. Like, it was just Kawhi. Like, that was really the problem. And, like, Kawhi has legitimate injuries. He has a serious leg condition. He also just misses games. He just does. He just doesn't play sometimes. I think it's unfortunate. I think the rule the rule definitely needs to go. But I agree that you can't just do it willy-nilly. Like, this has to be like a thoughtful, deep-seated process that evaluates what the evidence is. One of the problems I think that people need to understand is Silver is there's a line in Zero Dark 30 where they're trying to make the case for the plan to go forward. And it says the president is a thoughtful, analytical guy. And that's the same thing about Silver, as much as you may not think about it that way. His problem is that he is bound to data, results, and evidence. Is like, if you show him we had a problem with players missing games, that's down, then the rule's working. And if they're injured, that's unfortunate. And they continue to maintain that the injuries are not up or down from previous seasons. I think there's contextual stuff they're missing there, but I don't know how to get around this. I don't know how to tell the league that this is bad process just because we don't like the results.
Yeah, this is sort of where I fall on it too, guys, is like, are we kind of missing the plot here? Because we can get all butthurt about, like, oh man, I wish Wemby had a defensive player of the year. I wish Cade could qualify for MVP and all that. The real problem is that our most important players, our biggest stars, are missing so many games, right? Like, people have made this point. Historically, these guys don't win awards if they don't play something like 65 games anyway, right? The bigger problem is if you look at the All-NBA team, like, what it would be minus the 65-game rule, right? If all these guys just qualified. I think we have a pretty clear consensus top 8. And 4 of those guys, Wemby, Luka, Cade, Anthony Edwards, like, half of them are not going to be eligible. And I think the bigger problem here is not that they're not eligible. It's the fact that they've missed so much time. That 65 games didn't feel like a lot, like this huge threshold when Adam Silver added this rule in the first place, and now we are routinely having our star players not meeting that threshold. That to me is the bigger problem, and it goes back to a point that both of you guys make all the time. Maybe the real issue is that we have too many games and that the schedule is way too condensed and that these guys are getting hurt in the first place.
Yes. The answer to that
Absolutely.
query is yes from the two of us. Like when you look back, we've got I'm going through and I'm looking at the guys that played less than 70 games and won DPOY. David Robinson, 92. That's a pretty good case as an example of this. 2015, Kawhi Leonard. 2023, Jaren only played 63. Giannis in 2020 only played 63, but that's COVID shortened. 2012 is Tyson Chandler, lockout shortened. 2018, Rudy Gobert. That one's interesting because he only played 56. And then Zoe in 99, again, lockout shortened. So like we have like pretty consistent themes here of it doesn't happen all that often. Most valuable player is kind of the same thing. I think we need to figure out how many games we want star players to play. Like, what is that number? And if the number is 65, if it's like you need to play 65 games, then we should hold to that. But the other thing is we got to make it to where these guys can hit it. I think this is the problem. We set up a system of, in order to win this award, you need to have played X games. But now we need to figure out how to get those star players to that number. That's the part that's missing now.
Right. We're going to switch topics here to coaches. We knew that a couple of coaching vacancies that should be filled this summer already, but one report says that there could be up to 12 new coaches next season. We're going to talk about who we expect to be looking for new coaches after this. Today's episode is brought to you by Quo. Spring is a natural reset point, and if there's one thing that can quietly cost businesses money, it's messy communication, missed calls, scattered texts, no clear thread of who said what. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O. It's the smarter way to run your business communications. Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2 with over 3,000 reviews, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses. It lets your entire team share one business number so you never miss a call, text, or opportunity. Everything lives in one clean thread. Calls, texts, voicemails. The whole team sees the whole conversation, so nothing falls through the cracks. And the AI summaries save serious time by logging calls and highlighting the next steps automatically. It just makes your business feel more organized and responsive. So make this the season where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's Quo, QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Thanks for making Locked On NBA Daily part of your daily routine and making the Locked On Podcast Network your first listen every day. The Locked On Podcast Network is a show for every team. Check out Locked On Bucks and Locked On Spurs for more on today's top stories. Let's go to this report from Jake Fisher, who quotes one league source as saying that he expects there to be 8 to 12 coaching changes after this season. We've already talked about questions about the Bulls and the Bucks and whether they're going to retain, in Chicago's case, Billy Donovan, and in Milwaukee's case, Doc Rivers. We've also got other two interim coaches right now, James Borrego in New Orleans and Thiago Splitter in Portland. So they are naturally not on the hot seat necessarily, but their future is in question. That's 4 jobs up in the air, guys. But that's only half of where Jake Fisher is getting to. 8 to 12 potential vacancies. Matt, what other teams do you think could or maybe even should make a change?
Ooh, okay. So I just want to make sure I'm on the same page here. The 4 are
Bulls, Bucks, Pelicans, Blazers are the 4 jobs that are currently up in the air. Bulls with Billy Donovan, is he in or out? Doc Rivers giving some strange.
Oh, it's the Magic. Oh God, it's the Magic.
The Magic.
I like Jamal Mosley.
We all love
it. That's like done. Like Jamal Mosley. If you were to give me like percentage odds, like Jamal Mosley is way more dead than Thiago Splitter is, and Thiago's pretty gone, from what I understand.
This is crazy to me still. Like,
I think I also think personally, I think Doug Christie's got to go. I think Doug Christie. I don't think that they should have fired Mike Brown. I have not liked that Doug Christie. I understand how beloved he is by the organization and by the city, but no, like Doug Christie is not it. He has not done anything impressive with the Kings. It's not that I blame. It's not like I'm like, oh man, the Kings underperformed and it's Doug Christie's fault. They're the Kings. But I also think Doug Christie's probably got to go. The ones in here that I think are probably most unfair, I think Borrego's done enough. This is just the management wants its own guy, and that's fine. But I think Borrego's done a really good job there and honestly deserves a better chance. The one I would tell you to keep an eye on is Philadelphia, because there's a lot of talk about, despite them being like having a pretty good season and like they could make some noise in the playoffs, there's just like a lot of talk about potential changes coming to Philadelphia this summer.
Are any of those changes trading Joel Embiid? Is that in the cards at all? Is that part of the change? Okay, no. All right. Mosley in Orlando is going to be such an interesting situation to watch. The Billy, and not just because it's my team too. The Chicago Bulls thing is interesting because it's not really about if the Bulls want to retain Billy. It's basically if Billy wants to retain the Bulls, which is such an interesting spot to be in when you have to hire a new front office. Such an interesting line drawn in the sand by Michael Reinsdorf yesterday in that 20-minute press conference where he basically said outright, if we're interviewing a candidate for our president and they don't think Billy's the coach for them, then they're probably not for us. Such a crazy thing to say when you want somebody great to come in there. So Billy has great job security, just if he wants to stay there. But yeah, I mean, Matt, you know random information all the time. What's the most coaching vacancies that are ever opened up in one off season?
I don't have the number on that, but this is going to be one of the highest, I think.
Yeah, it has to be one of the highest. Like 8 to 12 vacancies is ridiculous.
Crazy.
And Mike Malone already is in college in UNC, so that's crazy.
Yeah.
Another name that was brought up in that report, Steve Kerr in Golden State. I mean, that's more similar to a Billy Donovan thing, which is more like it's up to him than the organization. But in that report, Jake Fisher reporting that the Warriors would prefer that Steve Kerr not sign like a 1-year deal and kind of do this Brett Favre thing. Are you kind of retiring or not? They would prefer a long-term deal, so maybe those sides don't see eye to eye, and there's a potential vacancy with the Warriors.
I hope Steve. Steve needs to leave when Steph goes.
I think everybody, right? Yeah.
And to be honest, like I think looking at this is sad, but I think look at what like Pop I think is a good idea of like enjoy the last years that you have with your health, because once I can tell you this from dealing with my parents, like once it starts to go, it's really rough, man. Like enjoy the good while it's there.
And you know, Steve,
I will also give you a name that I do not expect to be coaching their team at the end of the summer, and that's Jason Kidd.
Oh yeah.
So I think Jason Kidd's gone. Tuomas Asalo should be gone. Just want to make that very clear, is that I never call for people's jobs, but I have no idea why Tuomas Asalo is going to be coaching the Memphis Grizzlies next year. Everything else, Wes, like, but this is a lot of the play-in. Like, this is a lot of years of the play-in, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, like, I'm saying promote him, right?
To what?
Head of basketball operations. He works with Andy and Adam and just moves up.
And Riley rides off into the sunset in his Corvette.
Yeah.
That gets talked about here in Miami a lot. I don't know that Eric Spoelstra would look at that as a promotion. This is a coaching sicko. He loves coaching. I don't think that he has very much interest in a front office job, at least not right now. And we can end it on this. Of all the jobs that we've sort of talked about being open, potentially open, Haize, what among those jobs, which job do you think is the most attractive to a top coaching candidate?
Probably we're counting the Dallas Mavericks potentially in that, right?
Yeah.
Probably the Mavs, just because Cooper Flag, like the ability to guide that, and you'll be coming in with also new front office that's whole goal is to build around Cooper Flag. I think for any coach that wants a challenge, especially maybe a first time head coach, that could be a great job for them to be that one to say, hey, I wasn't the first coach for Cooper Flag, but I was the first coach that we started building around and really trying to win some basketball games. So I'll say that one as far as from like a longevity standpoint. As far as like from a win now standpoint, I still think the Orlando Magic are interesting for a veteran head coach, but they got to get somebody in there that's ready to make some tough moves with that roster.
The thing we only talked about the teams that are outside of the playoffs here, which like there's going to be a team that underperforms from perspective standpoint in that first round. So like someone's going out in the first round, like in the Western Conference, Thunder, Spurs, Nuggets, Lakers, Rockets, Wolves. Not everybody's making the second round. Only 4 of those teams are getting out. So, if the upsets don't happen, right? So I just am kind of curious to see what happens there, and that could be the best job. But I would agree that it's probably Orlando. I think Orlando is a really good spot. You've got pretty good ownership. You've got really good management. You've already got players in place. You get a lot of roster flexibility, so you're not missing a whole lot. The other one I'll kind of say is if the Wizards move on from Keefe, I actually think the Wizards are a pretty good option. I actually don't think it's fair to move on from Keefe. They may not. Fair doesn't matter in this league, but they literally told Keefe not to play the way that would win them games. Like it's irresponsible to have Brian Keefe do this, and then I get that they paid him 2 years basically to do this and make money, but like let's see if he really showed some stuff last year that he didn't get to do it all this year. Let him actually try and coach a team next year before they move on. But I think the Wizards, Trey Johnson, Bilal Coulibaly, Alex Sarr, you've got Davis and Trey, so there's adults in the room. You add another pick this summer. That's to me seems like a really good situation.
Feels like one of those teams too where you get Trae Young and Anthony Davis in the lineup and instantly you're going to jump up 10, 15 wins. It might be like one of those low-hanging fruit coach of the year type candidates. He's like, so if you're a new coaching candidate and you want to win coach of the year your first year, maybe Washington, maybe Orlando too, right? All you got to do with the Magic is just have a top 20 offense and people are going to be like, wow, this guy really turned this thing around.
If the Clippers get the death penalty for the aspiration stuff, does Ty Lue walk?
He should.
Good question, right?
He should.
Like really because if there's going to be this many openings and Lue can go somewhere else and make more money and not have to deal with the fallout, that's probably got to be on the radar.
It's a great call. Sounds like it's going to be a pretty interesting coaching carousel this summer. If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA Daily, wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Thank you to Matt and Haize for their expertise every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network your first listen. We'll see you right back here tomorrow on Locked On NBA Daily.